15-minute call with me. That is on my Calendly link, which actually is not in my Instagram bio right now, but normally it is. And I get a lot of calls about like, hey, can you just chat with us about investing in real estate, or can you run by, what do you think of this situation? So, okay, for now, we'll just kick it off. Just know that we are recording. If you've got something big, feel free to unmute yourself. If not, hit it in the chat and we'll get going. All right. So I am a real estate investor, if you didn't know. And I'm going to teach you how to go from working hard for your money to earning it while you're enjoying your life through real estate investing. I have been doing that for about 20 plus years now. So maybe you're feeling stretched for time, or tight on money, or feeling like you're having to constantly work for every dollar, and you're ready to transition to what we call mailbox money, which is kind of a funny term because mailbox money really doesn't exist anymore. Everything's automated, still some, but you get it. So we're going to talk about building generational wealth, maybe leaving a corporate job or leaving your career that you got an advanced degree for, but you've had enough. I can't tell you how many lawyers that I meet that end up as real estate investors, and create opportunities to make more revenue without taking time away from you, and then really truly just bringing money to your mailbox, because that's what we're looking for here. I'm sure that's why all of you are here today. If you're a real estate agent or a savvy person that's looking to get into the real estate game and you want to build additional revenue streams leveraging real estate, then you're in the right place with me, because that's what I do. And I am like on this mission to lift up all of the women. And I believe that it's like 99.9% women in here today. And I'm sure moving forward, it will be the same. But I want to lift up all the women around me so that they purchase their own investment portfolio, so that they build big, build out, build wide, and create generational wealth for their families. So let's move through here and I will get you going. Okay, so if you are here and you are struggling with maybe being exhausted, you want to find a way to get out of working those long hours, 60, 70 hours a week. And I know there's a few people on this call that are working those types of hours, or maybe you are on a transaction hamster wheel. You're doing 30, 40 transactions a year and you are just spinning, or you're just working on a time schedule that fits your client's needs and not your own family schedule. Or maybe you just feel scared that you want to invest your hard-earned money into something, but you don't know where to get started. And it feels scary to put up $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, sink your income into something or your full savings into something, and there not be a guarantee. Or you're burnt out, which was me in November of 2020. You've hit a plateau. You're very proud of where you gained or grown to. You hit what would be considered uber successful. And you should be proud, and you're obviously very smart. You care about other women. You want to change people's lives, or you wouldn't be here. So be proud of that. And it's okay to also feel unfulfilled. So maybe you have all the fancy, shiny things, in some cases, a booming real estate business, or you're making six figures in a corporate career, but you want more and your vision is so much bigger, but you're just not sure how to get there. And I think this is what I hear the most. So many women that are saying like, I want to get to the next level. I just don't know how to get there, or I feel stuck. So maybe you also see people buying real estate investments left and right. You might be looking at me thinking like, she's no better than me. Why is she doing this and I'm not? And you're right. People running short-term rentals, that's another huge thing that I'm seeing, that women are jumping into the short-term rental game like hotcakes, and they're running them themselves. So maybe you don't know what that looks like for you, or if there's room for a newbie investor. I want you to know that I've been right where you are, and I promise you that this is absolutely just the beginning. Let me hit your slides here, you guys. Okay, so here's where it gets tough, stressful. I think this paralyzes people. You get worried about, gosh, what's going to happen if I don't take the next step? What happens if I wait too long? And this is the biggest thing that I see. We all know that interest rates are going up, right? There's no doubt that rates are going up, that we're in a position where we could be at 4.5. And in some cases, I mean, I've got loans closing that are at 4.25. That is not uncommon right now, especially if you're in the commercial market. We're seeing home prices continue to rise. I mean, in some cases, 20% on appreciation, whereas the standard market for a long time was 3%. So you have to look at those factors and say, is now the right time? Or is it time for me to wait? Sorry, guys, I'm still letting people in this room. Okay, so you can continue putting off investing and you can miss this opportunity for generational wealth that's going to support your family, your future generations, or like what I like to think about, that maybe you're paying for kids to go to college or assisting with their down payments, or maybe even like giving them the down payment for their first home. I have a girlfriend that happened to, and it's powerful to think about how her parents were able to change her trajectory because they gave her the 25% or 20% to buy her first home. Or maybe you're just going to pay for a kid's wedding. So I think of all of those things, and that's what forges me ahead to want to continue to buy real estate and buy right now. Not to mention travel and retirement. You know, I don't know the age of everybody on this call, but I know that retirement is on the forethought for me. I don't want to be spinning my wheels in 10 or 15 years. I want to stop at some point. I want to have a soft stop date and move forward and enjoy my life and enjoy my children, and hopefully someday enjoy grandchildren. So what's at stake here is having to grind all of your life for your money and putting your family in a situation to always have to do the same. So we can change that. So if you feel that like on a deep level, you can put yes in the chat box. If you think like, oh my gosh, absolutely, this is where I am and I want to get to the next level. I just am not sure how to get there or what it's going to do, what it's going to take to get there. Yeah, I know you are, Amy Peterson. Amy's constantly getting in my DMs about buying investment property. Yeah, yes, absolutely. We all do, right? I just feel like maybe I was fortunate enough to take that first step at a young age, but it's not too late. You guys can all take it right now. So on the worst case scenario, it's not fun to talk about, but I've seen it happen firsthand that people wait too long to step into real estate investing. And the longer you wait, the more likely that it just becomes an idea that you never realize. And that idea, that could be a strategy that changes your entire financial future, right? We're talking game changer for everybody. And if you like my little quote, owning your home doesn't make you rich, owning someone else's does. And a lot of you are real estate agents in here, so you know, like, building wealth through real estate is huge. I think what you have to keep in mind is, yes, you can stay in your home and gain equity and stair step up over the years. But what if you had 10 properties that were doing that? And that's the type of stuff that I think about. Like, what if you put that on a major scale? That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so now I've experienced firsthand, and I'm so passionate about this, and I want to help you create a business with more ease and freedom, because it doesn't have to be hard. You just have to want more and go after it. You are all capable of building a real estate portfolio. You just have to take the first step. And most of the women in this room have built frigging portfolios or helped other people build portfolios, which kind of makes me want to bang my head, because I know, I see it. I've done it for my own clients. I've not bought the deal. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? I just made someone else rich. So keep in mind that you need to do it for yourself. You've got to put yourself first. Yes, we want to make money in transactions if you're a real estate agent, absolutely. But you also need to be thinking about your own family and what you can do for generational wealth, or for your children, or for paying off your own mortgage. So just a little bit about me. I saw my dad fixing and flipping properties through my late teens and 20s. I immediately saw that potential for building wealth through real estate. I knew that the money that he was making on fixes and flips, you know, he'd make $50,000 a deal, $70,000 a deal. It's much different 20 years ago than it is today, where you see investors that maybe will make 10 or 20,000. They could make $100,000 on a deal that long ago, or 20 years ago. But I wasn't interested. I knew the amount of work that it took to do flips, and I just was not interested in those short-term profits. They were large, but I didn't want that. I wanted the investment of long-term profits and someone else paying off my piece of real estate. I saw that shiny bright light of someone else paying for it while I benefited on taxes. And then I had a steady stream of income and a tenant was paying off the property. And I was like, oh, shiny lights, give them to me. So at 21, I bought, let's pop in here, hang on just a second. I'm gonna still be, next time I'll learn and have someone else let people in. Learning lessons on the first webinar, you guys. So at 21, I bought my first property on the courthouse steps. I had a certified check. And if some of you know about auction properties, you go, the commissioner announces the property. There's a whole line, sometimes a couple of hundred. They announce your property, they start an open bidding price, and then you bid for a property. So I had my certified check made out to the commissioner, the courthouse commissioner, and I bid on a property and I won. And I bought my first property for $61,000. Now keep in mind, I was 21 years old. I took an 8.75% interest rate. So like when you think about that and you hear people complaining about like 4.5, 5, it doesn't freaking matter what the interest rate is if the numbers work. So you can't sweat the interest rate too much if the numbers work. Now I get it on your personal home, but on investment property, you're looking for, it's a numbers game. And if an interest rate of 7.75 gets you the property that you want, then you just make sure that the numbers work in your favor. So I was willing to do it. I took the risk. I was 21. I had no credit. I needed the loan. I wanted to buy my first property. Then at the age of 25, I took a major leap and I bought 2 3-plex properties in that same year. It was way more than I could chew, but looking back, I'm glad that I didn't know what to forecast because I may have just never jumped. I know that I wouldn't jump. So sometimes you know too much and you get into like analysis paralysis. These properties were hard and I learned a ton, not to mention was painting myself, taking midnight phone calls, but you don't know what you don't know. And I had to learn the hard way. It wasn't all daisies and rainbows. I had the high loans. I did the work. I'm not a contractor. I cried a lot of tears. And several times I said I was going to sell it all. Bye, I'm done. I do not want to be a real estate investor. So I learned it the hard way. And I think for me, what I see is I really want to show women how they can skip the struggle. Because if you do it smart, I mean, at 21 and 25, I didn't really know what doing it smart was. I had a dad that was a flipper, not a long-term buy and hold investor. So if you do it smart, you can really set yourself up for success and it doesn't have to be a headache. I wish that I had a mentor to show me what I know now. I saw my dad, he taught me the art of like finding the deal and, you know, I guess pushing those equity gains to make it amazing. But nobody really ever showed me how to run it and how to make it bigger than myself. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to show women, how to make this bigger than me. That's my goal. I'm passionate about this. I want women to create passive income through real estate. It's not always about the money. It's also about the freedom and it's about our future. There's a whole lot of moms on this call. And when you're thinking about like, is it about the dollar in your bank account or is it about you spending more time with your children or sending your kids to college or giving your kids a property that you hand off in the future? That's the type of stuff that I'm often processing, or just to go on a family vacation and not have to worry about a dime. In 2019, we went to Japan for 3 weeks. And you know what? My real estate transactions just sat to the side and everything ran. I was able to leave the country for 3 weeks with my children and not have to worry about it. That's what I want for you. That is what I want for women in real estate, to be able to give their family the gift of really celebrating and enjoying life. So for those of you that are real estate agents in here, I hope that buying real estate helps you to get what we like to call the golden handcuffs of the transaction wheel, where you're bogged down, you have a million transactions, you're in the weeds, you're working late at night, you're working early morning, you're working the weekends, and to get those golden handcuffs off, and then owning your worth and demanding more for yourself. There is no reason that if you're selling investment property to other people, that you also shouldn't be buying it yourself. Come on now. If you're going to go find the deals for the other people, then you definitely, you've got to do it for yourself. So I've taken everything that I've learned in my 20 plus years of real estate, owning over $4 million in investment property, and I'm going to show you what I did. And I wish someone had shown that to me. So let's pop through. Before I dive in, just tell you, thanks, Kelly. Before I dive in, just a little bit about like my background. My dad taught me the ropes on finding the deals. That's evolved over time. 20 years in the business, I've made the mistakes. I've taken the crap deals and crawled my way out of the messes. My mom always likes to say, sometimes I land in a pile of shit and climb out smelling like roses. There's some hard work in being able to do that. But I've been helping clients buy investment properties for 20 years. And I used to cringe at the thought of working with an investor. They had no emotion. It was all numbers. And I would get these agents, I was in my 20s, I would get these agents be like, oh, another real estate investor, will you take them and I'll pay you a referral fee? And I would do it because I knew the business, but Lord, it would stress me out. So now I'm like, yeah, it's all numbers. It's no emotion. I have zero emotion for every home that I live in. I wouldn't say that I'm cold. I would just say that every purchase is a financial purchase. And how is this going to affect me for the future? So I think you have to kind of think about that. So we personally earn 6 figures from real estate investments. We depreciate our properties on paper, meaning when we file taxes. We work actively in the business and we write off our losses against our ordinary income. For those of you that are real estate agents, that is massive. If you were on the Powerhouse call last week, then you heard me talk about writing off your losses on your investments against your ordinary income. Meaning if I make $100,000 in real estate and I have $20,000 in losses, that means I'm only paying taxes on $80,000 in real estate. There is a huge gain to be had in that arena. And maybe you're not in real estate and you're thinking, gosh, I think I need to get in real estate. For real, you maybe need to get into real estate because being an active real estate investor is a game changer on your taxes. Let's see. We did all of this while someone else is paying off our mortgage. And that's the best part. And I used to feel weird about talking about this. And I'm like, oh, I don't like talking about money. And then Amy Gregory really pushed me at Rise Retreat to start talking about it. It's like, oh, okay. I'm like, I'm doing a thing here. All right, I'm going to talk about it. And it's not going to be weird for women to talk about money. And we're going to share these things. And we're going to make it okay because men talk about money all the time. But for some reason, it felt awkward for me. So let's see here. So there's no new tricks. And I feel like this is the hardest part that I need people to know, that there's no special sauce. We all are doing, those of us that are successful are doing the same darn thing, the same thing. It's in the books. It's in all the books. It's in all the podcasts. It's in all the webinars. But for whatever reason, one person might resonate with you over another. You can get on Bigger Pockets. You can get on a million different things to learn how to invest. You're going to hear the same basic principles. The biggest difference is that one of us, me, and many of you maybe on here, took the first step to buy the investment property, to build the portfolio, to create the generational wealth. So there's only one proven way, and it just has worked, and people have tweaked it, made it better, but it's buying investment property. So investors are going to people come along and they're going to show you fancy new ways to run numbers and all these things or find deals, but it's going to come down to dollars in and dollars out. Does a property work with the amount of money you're putting down, what it's costing you in monthly expenses, and what your income is? Is your income offsetting? And then you've also got to look at several things like, what are your goals? Because one person's goal might be, I don't care. I don't need to make any money on this property. My biggest thing is that I want it to pay for itself. So I think that's where I see the biggest difference in real estate investors, is figuring out what their goals are and then going from there. So the easiest way for me to break this down was in a 4-step foundation, and I'll kind of walk you through it. And it's why real estate investment is the safest investment in the market, how to start the process of jumping into investing, because I think everybody hears all these things, but then they're not really sure what is that first step, how to manage your properties without losing your mind, I mean literally, and how to monetize your properties. Those are the biggest things. And then there's some quick action items that you can take. And then it's no different than an infant, right? It's baby steps. Like your toddler takes its first step and bam, then they're running and you're like, what the hell just happened? That is real estate investing, I promise you. All right, so we're gonna break this down. Number 1, I'm sure most of you here are in the stock market. I would say likely something in the stock market, or you have a 401k, or you have bonds, or maybe you jumped into cryptocurrency, or the newest thing, NFTs, which I'm like, whoa, how many of you on here are familiar with crypto and NFTs. Anybody in the chat want to like tell me they're playing in cryptocurrency or NFTs, which is like non-fungible tokens? I know you're like, what? They're like buying web space. And I just saw where the first piece of real estate in, I think, Tampa or St. Pete was sold via, to crypto, right? Than just having an NFTs. NFTs blow my mind. I'm like I've got a lot of studying to do on NFTs. I'm just not there. And I just cannot like fathom using crypto and NFTs. So like what feels like not tangible money to buy a piece of real estate, but it's happening. However, we all know that it's like super volatile, right? Your stocks, even your 401k with your company match, bonds are a little bit safer. You've seen crypto like major bounce. So with that, with your stock market, you've got $1 in and that's your investment. You put $25,000 in the stock market and that is your investment. And then you hope for gains, right? No guarantee, and you do not have a tangible asset. Maybe somebody sent you an email that said, congrats, you've invested in the stock market and you own 65 shares of Apple or whatever it is, but that's what you have. But it's pretty damn volatile. You know that you're going to bounce. I mean, we've seen it happen, especially I think early COVID, and now we're seeing things change again. So real estate itself is a phenomenal source for investing. You get monthly income. It's automated straight to your bank or your mailbox if you still want to collect a check. It comes from your tenants. You get the tax benefits, you get the equity, you get the depreciation. It's the ability to have a tangible asset that will increase in value over time while someone else is paying the bills, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing. You want somebody else to pay the bills. So if you were in my powerhouse session, you heard me talk about passive versus active versus real estate professional for classifications. And you need to know, you don't have to be a licensed real estate agent to be classified as a real estate professional, but you do have to work in the business over 750 hours per year. So essentially what that means is that you could be managing your own property. And so that is how you become a real estate professional for tax purposes and then get those write-offs. And then you have stuff like appreciation in value, depreciation of your assets for taxes. So appreciation in value, we all know, right? So you buy a house, it appreciates, you pay $300,000 and next year it's worth $375,000, or maybe if you're lucky, it's worth $550,000 because that's the way the market's been going. So that is your appreciating asset. Now you could get that in the stock market, right? But also if it all crashes, you have nothing and you lost your initial investment. So you have to keep that in mind. And then of course you have your depreciation of your asset on paper, which is where the IRS has gifted us all the phenomenal of devaluing our property, not the land, just the building over 27.5 years on our taxes. So that becomes a write-off against our ordinary income as well. So there's many reasons why real estate is way safer than buying crypto, NFTs, stock market. I think that the other things are riskier. However, you know, I mean, we've heard of people making millions of dollars in crypto. So it's just what's your risk threshold. I like a little bit safer with a guaranteed big gain, because what I know is that if you're thinking like, oh, the stock market might drop, the real estate market might drop. Well, that's okay. The real estate market could potentially drop, but also know that if you're not selling, it really doesn't matter, because if it's an investment property, as inflation goes up, rent's going to go up as well. So you're hedging yourself on a pretty safe bet. So when you understand the ability to take an asset that appreciates, depreciate that asset on paper for tax purposes, and then write off your losses of that asset against your ordinary income, that is when you win. And when you master that, you'll want more. You're going to realize that you're creating generational wealth, all while sheltering your dollars against taxes, which I don't know about you all, but that's what I'm trying to do, is pay as little taxes as possible. I think like where we should be in our tax category versus where we are is a beautiful gap. I like it that way. So for me, this process is very addicting. It's like a game, and I want to know how much property can I acquire, the monthly income that I can create, and how little I can pay in taxes. And then I'm like, oh, checkmate. That's what I'm looking for. And so that's what you want to be thinking about when you're looking at real estate investing. And that's the first mindset step that you need to get through, is that, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a real estate investor. I'm going to buy my first property. And I know there's people in here that already own that first property. Maybe you're thinking about buying more, or maybe you're just on the fence like, oh my gosh, is this the right thing to do? Do we stay put and just buy investment property? I can't answer that for you, but I can help you figure that out yourself, which I think is the absolute key component, because you've got to be educated to figure that out yourself. So all the tax advantages that you might be ignoring, the passive income, the ability to leverage your property, meaning you could equity strip or hedge it against inflation, meaning you've got your property, what you paid for it, and your rent is only going to continue to increase. Whereas before we could say, oh, 3 to 5% increase was pretty standard. And I think over the next year or two, we're going to see major jumps in that. So be prepared for rental pricing to go up. Okay. So if you're just thinking like that you just can't deal with tenants, or you're never going to buy an investment property, you've heard horror stories, know that the IRS says that the top 15% wealthiest tax filers are investors and business people. That means many of them are paying less in taxes than you are, because they're able to write off those losses against their ordinary income. And as interest rates and as property values increase, first-time investors are gonna get squeezed. It's gonna get harder, and it's gonna get more competitive. We already know it's a competitive market, because how hard is it to find a multifamily property right now? It's maddening, especially if you're looking for buyers and you've got out-of-state money at play. There's a lot of things. So I've seen this happen over the years. So many clients reach out, I want to buy my first investment property, and then they never do. So don't miss out on your chance to change your future and the future of your families. If you can get your head around buying an investment property, that's just like the first step. You have to commit to the process, educate yourself, and do the research. And if you currently own an investment property and you aren't even earning any passive income, then you need to reevaluate if you jumped in unprepared, because you have to be honest with yourself and say, was I ready to buy my first property? Did I do my market research? Were my funds in a good position? I think there's so many things that play into that, and you can make a bad decision. So you've got to remember that you've got to be prepared before you take that first step. And I see a lot of people jump too soon and they're not ready. It's like the shiny object syndrome. I'm going to go after it now. All right, let me move on to step 2 for you guys. Maybe I will. Oh, I like this. Where else can you put $50,000 cash and get a $200,000 asset, right? Not in the stock market. Because what happens in the stock market, your $50,000 cash gets you $50,000 in stocks. Now, it could exponentially increase, but it's likely going to bounce. And unless you cash out, you're not going to realize those gains. But in real estate, you have a hard asset and you've put up 50 grand, and it's likely the value is 4 times, if not more, the way appreciation is going. It could be significantly greater. Okay, so let's do this. Just tell me yes if you own real estate in here. How many of you all own real estate currently? I know some of you own real estate. Is that Rachel in Colorado? I'm assuming that's Rachel in Colorado. I just see a Rachel. Investment real estate. So not just your personal, but investment real estate. Hi. Okay. So how many of you feel like you're ready today that you could go buy a piece of real estate? Hi, Danielle. I'm just curious how many in here are like, okay, I'm ready. I can do this. And if it's a no, it's a no. But I just want to know. Me too. Me too. I want all the short-term rentals. I want all the houses. I want all the beach stuff. Oh, I know you're ready, J-Lo. Somebody find J-Lo a deal. Please, somebody find that girl a deal. Livy, I think you are buying all the houses, right? I think you're already doing that. Okay, step 2. I talk a lot and we're 30 minutes in and we got 4 steps. So I think that to start this, I'm gonna help you, Jackie. I'll help you, I promise you. Actually, you and Jolyn, maybe you guys should talk about investing together. Yes, yeah, so that's awesome. You pretty much just cashed out your entire property, Jamie. That's friggin' awesome in 5 years. And now you can just take that 72 and go put it down on something else. And you don't have to spend $400,000, you can find a phenomenal investment. I don't know what area you're in, but you could find a phenomenal investment. And as long as those numbers look great, you may not even use all of your 72,000, which would be even better. Okay, so this is the biggest thing for those of you that feel like you are ready. It's getting started. You have got to have your dynasty, you've got to have your foundation in place, right? So there are so many fundamental steps that you need to do in order to be successful as a real estate investor. There's a reason that the average investor only owns 3 doors. It's because it's hard, right? They didn't do it right. They got overwhelmed. They threw in the towel. They muddle along. They warn, they tell everybody, don't get into investing. It sucks. It's hard. But those that are like chugging along, just acquiring more property for years, I just didn't say anything. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy your property. Yeah, I'll buy your property. Sure. You want to get out of the business? Absolutely. Call me. So I think building that base and that foundation is clutch. You have to do that. And they might say like buying stocks is easier. Yeah, we could say it's easier. So are you looking for easy, or are you looking for long-term gains with as little risk as possible? Because that's what I'm looking for. So if you create the plan, then the scaling becomes easy. And I know it's hard. I did it the hard way. That's my best thing to tell you guys. I did everything the hard way. I was 21. I didn't know better. And I hope that I can save all of you from doing it the hard way. So you got to have things in place like bankers and funding. You've got to make sure that you have your money together. So like Jamie's saying, she equity stripped her own property, or she cashed out. She took the equity out of her home. It's a phenomenal time to do that because prices are through the roof, and we don't know what's going to happen with pricing, but it's a great time to do that. So think about that on if you don't have the cash in hand, that you could potentially take it from the home that you're living in right now. You got to think about, are you using a small local bank? Are you getting a commercial loan? Are you going to do the secondary market? Is this a second home that maybe is a vacation property and you're putting down 10%? There are so many steps that you need to think about and check boxes before you can move on and actually buy the piece of property. Do you have an attorney? Do you know how to do it yourself? Are you using LegalZoom, or are you hiring someone that can do it for you, and then you've got a relationship? I know for me personally, I want an attorney. I want someone creating my operating agreements. I want airtight operating agreements that are not going to get me in trouble. Do you have partners? Is your operating agreement buttoned up? If somebody gets a divorce in your partner group, what happens? You have to think about all of that. You want to create your LLC. You want to register your LLC with the Secretary of State. You want to create an EIN with the IRS. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, why do I need an EIN? I'm not going to have employees. However, you have to think about that because a lot of banking institutions on commercial loans, they want you to have an EIN for your bank account. It's all a big picture of tracking so they can keep track of that entity. So we have EINs for our LLCs, which are on each property, and those EINs are attached to each business bank account. But then we don't just have one bank account. We have an operating account, a reserve account, and an escrow account. So we have 3 accounts for that specific LLC. Then we have insurance. Do you get a commercial policy? Because you surely don't want that to be stripped down. I've had it happen. I had a property that the hot water heater busted. It flooded. 400,000 gallons of water flooded through this property. It was a complete nightmare. I think I was maybe like 27 years old. The city of Louisville told me that more water came through that property than the Galt House used in that month span. It was a complete nightmare. And guess what? My insurance had a stripped down policy and it didn't cover flooding. It was a huge, huge blow up for me. It was a big learning lesson. But then also, what are you protecting your personal assets? Do you have an umbrella policy that's going to protect your own family? Because the last thing you want to do is be sued. And yes, you have the LLC as a shelter, but do you have something larger to protect you if someone falls at a property and gets hurt, and then they're suing, your insurance on your property, then they're coming after your personal insurance. So we have a large umbrella policy that then those LLCs are stacked under. So you want to think about all that. We have a CPA. If you're going to run it like a business, then you need to hire professionals. That's the best thing I can tell you. You want to do your research. If you don't know the area, then hire a professional that can help you. And I know as real estate agents that, and a lot of people in here we're all pretty good about, we know, stay in your lane. You can't I wouldn't go to California and pretend that I know the market there. I have no idea markets are very regional, if not niche down smaller than that. So you want to hire the professionals to take care of you. Amy, yes. Can you tell us what you mean by operating agreement? No. So in operating agreements in LLCs, when you have business partners, and even not, we have operating agreements for we have a single member LLC, that's me. We have an LLC that's a partnership with my husband and myself, and we have LLCs with other people. All of those have individual operating agreements that line out what happens if X. Who's the managing member? Who makes decisions? What happens if you want to sell the property? So those are very airtight agreements, because as much as we all want to say like nothing's going to explode or go wrong, you just don't know. So you want to protect yourself with those operating agreements. We had ours done by somebody at a title attorney office, which they can draft it for you, and then you can tweak it. And then that would get sent to your Secretary of State when you registered your LLC. Let's see here. Okay, so and if you're going to repeat this process over and over, then you've got to have a plan in place that's easily repeatable. You got to find the property, win the deal, and follow your checklist. The first time that you do all those things, it's going to suck. I know Danielle in here owns multiple properties. It frigging takes time. It takes so much time. You're going to get frustrated, but the reward is huge. When you create that action plan in the beginning, then you can just go back to it and rinse and repeat. And that is how you scale. Most of the people that skip this step are investors that jump right in because it's sexy, right? So they're like, oh, but my uncle's doing it and he owns 30 properties and he lives at the beach, so I'm just going to jump in and do it. And you haven't done your research, and that is where you're going to get in trouble. You've got to do your research and have a plan together in order to make this work, or it's potentially going to blow up in your face, or you're going to say, I'm out, or you're going to get sued, or you're going to pay the IRS more than you should. It could be an absolute disaster, or you could end up having to pay an attorney way too much money. Maybe I'm speaking from experience, but you're going to have to pay an attorney way too much money because you weren't prepared and you missed a small piece. So it's important that you protect yourself, because it is a large risk. And it can take a long time to determine what you want, what your goals are, long-term, short-term. If you have a plan in place, you just want to make sure that it's buttoned up. Are you following it step by step? Are you protecting your family from being sued if someone's hurt? What if your property floods? Do you have coverage? So you have to think about your what ifs and cover all of your bases. It's kind of like when your 2-year-old is running around your house, or your 3-year-old. Jessica mentioned this to me recently. They had somebody coming over, and they had a baby, and the kid was like a crawler. And she's like, oh my God, my house is not foolproof for like a crawling baby. And that's for real. That is, you have to be prepared for all the things. So like think through what could happen. And I know that's not the fun part, but that's the stuff to protect your butt in the future. Okay, so everybody ready? Y'all just tell me you're all gonna go out and like buy some real estate. That's what I want to hear. Just tell me yes, 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 yes. We're all gonna go out and buy some real estate. Yeah. Now, Krista, I think you guys own some at the beach, right? And if not, I feel like we're gonna see you. I have a feeling, Krista, we're gonna see you all owning a bunch of short-term rentals. Hey, Jamie, if you got a question, will you shoot me and you can hit me in the chat here. Yeah, Krista, absolutely. If I were you, I would be all over, because you're present as well in that market. I would be all over buying short-term rentals in that market. Yeah, running it like a business is key. I mean, that's what I think I see. That's why you see all these investors that they only own 3 properties, because they buy them. It's kind of a shit show, and they're scrambling, and it's a nightmare. And I've been there. Like, I have absolutely been there, and not too long ago. And it's hard and it's stressful. And if you just set up the foundation in the beginning, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Okay, so managing smart. Are you ready to manage your properties without like my hair would be like standing out? So we got people, pets, properties, and problems, because we all know that dealing with the general public is hard, or an absolute pain in the ass. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because dealing with tenants can be really tough. And what happens when a couple breaks up, or there's a job transfer, or a tenant buys a puppy? Maybe it's a Valentine's Day gift. Or you have tenants that are throwing parties and there's like click, 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 like a stampede at like 2 a.m. and the downstairs person is like, what is going on upstairs? Or you need a new roof, or bed bugs show up. Even better, what if you have rats? For real, rats. Like I'll tell you all a story later about a property that got renovated and it had rats, and the rats went everywhere, all over the street. Awesome. So the biggest thing I can tell you on this step 3 is that you have to have a tight lease, right? You need to make sure that your lease covers all of your state laws. It covers, yeah, rats. It covers you as a landlord. I'll just tell you all now real quick, because you're all going to wonder, maybe you're going to wonder about the rats. 2 doors to the left, a lady passed away in one of our properties in the city in this great, amazing location. And the lady died, and a renovator came in. Rats were infested in the garage only. And instead of mitigating the rat situation, they just completely gutted the garage, and the rats spread all over the alley, all over this property. And this was like a clean, nice alley. So my tenant calls me and she's like, Molly, there's a rat. And I'm like, what? And she's like, it looks like a large cat. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I've never had, like, I mean, we've dealt with mice issue, but like a real rat. So she sends me a photo, and sure freaking enough, it looks like a cat that's like digging into the ground. It was the most disgusting thing that I've ever seen. And it was like in the backyard. And I want all of you to know that I'm not a slumlord, that I've had properties in nice areas. There was a damn rat. And so when I called the pest control company, they let me know that that they were treating 8 homes in the area because there was a rat infestation on the friggin' street. Hi, Pam. So disgusting shit happens. We got to have a plan in place to deal with it. So tighten up your lease. You've got state laws. You've got, you want to cover yourself as a landlord. You want to spell out your information about the property, obviously all the details. What happens when they don't pay? How do they pay? As over time, I've learned, like I started adding like line item addendums. When you paint, this happens. When you change your payment terms, this happens. These are the disclosures. I'm a licensed real estate broker in X state. These are the changes in state laws. If you bring bed bugs into my property, you are responsible, because you get people that get furniture from people, as I'm like itching now, you get people that get furniture from people, or they get something at the Goodwill, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden they've got bed bugs and they want to hand it to you. I had that happen to me in 2006. And $1,800 later for a one-time treatment, then plus monthly reoccurring. I had a 3-plex that it was happening to. It was a complete nightmare. My butt is now covered in my lease against bed bugs. And I've only had it happen one other time and they covered it. So you got to think about things further on, like rent collection. I used to be a cash collector. I'd walk around with like $7 grand, 10 grand, and like 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s in my purse in my 20s at the beginning of every month. I had small children and I had to automate and I had to save time and also like not get arrested, right? Or not arrested, but like mugged. So I moved to PayPal, then I moved to Venmo. Now I use a rental property platform, which is fantastic. The tenants can do an ACH, they can have a direct link, they have their own portal, we can run reports, the tenants can see, I can see, it's fantastic. Yeah, that's awesome, Brenda. Yeah, if you're managing for other people, it's in 17 years. Oh, I bet you got some bad stories too. We're gonna have to like story share. Yeah, it's time to do it on for yourself, girlfriend. It means you've been dealing with everybody else's crap this long. You gotta take that on, and it's you're the one that's gonna reap the reward with all the money. Other stuff that you need to tighten up. You've got policies on shared spaces, you've got rules, you've got parking. The tenant has got to know the boundary up front, or the rules of the property, what is allowed and what isn't allowed. Because if they don't know, you cannot get pissed off at them because they didn't know. I mean, you can get mad, but if it's not illegal and it's just annoying and it's like a teenager. If they don't know the rule, they're just gonna push every boundary possible. So you've got to set those boundaries up front. And then the biggest thing on issues, who are you going to call? I'm like, who are you going to call? You better have someone on call to deal with these issues. You got plumbers, you got electricians. Do you have a human that can go and check out if there's an emergency? Who is your go-to, especially as more people are buying in other states? I think that's the biggest thing I'm seeing is that, you know, you're buying out of state. Well, who's cleaning for you? Who's taking care of, you know, your situation? And so I said, be the solutionist. I think women are phenomenal problem solvers. I know there's a ton of statistics around females being, or even girls at a high school level being better problem solvers than boys or men. So I empower you to be the solutionist. We already are in our daily lives with our children, with our jobs in the real estate industry. We need to do that on a big scale and create wins and solutions and solve the problems to make for a better situation. So when you think about me saying like the average investor only owns 3 real estate pieces of property, I can guarantee you that that investor doesn't have the time or the energy to deal with issues because they don't have people to call, rules in place, or an easy way to collect rent. This will make you absolutely not want to be an investor. Absolutely. You have to automate and you have to systemize, or you're just going to play this one-off mom and pop. And if you really want to scale and create generational wealth, you've got to put that plan. If you set the foundation, then you can scale. So you're going to be tired, spinning your wheels, dealing with stupid issues, never move that needle. If you buy the property, don't have the systems, I bet you don't buy another. And that's not the goal. If that's what happens, then you've done it wrong. And I've been there in my 20s and said, no, let's sell it all. I don't want any, I'm done. And you got to think like, how much extra time do you have to take the phone calls or deal with tenant woes, like breakups? Or I mean, some, you know, my company didn't pay and my rent's going to be 5 days late. So maybe off the cuff, you hire a Brenda, you hire a property manager, you build in those 10 to 12% fees, and then you collect your rent, you step away, you get your monthly, you know, you can log into a portal, you wipe your hands and you go buy another. You just have to make sure that those numbers work and that you build in for that property management. I've always managed my own because I'm in the business. However, I don't necessarily recommend managing your own. If you don't have the contacts and don't know what to do, then I don't think that it's necessarily a smart thing for you to go manage your own. Okay, tell me, how strong are your problem-solving skills? I feel like, I mean, everybody better be putting like, hell yes, I got the best problem-solving skills around. I mean, if you're a mom, that's all you got. So tell me, like 1, 5, 15, what's your problem solving skill level? Master, right? Oh man, Jamie, 6 kids. Oof, girl. I think that's 100. I think that means 100. Some days I feel like mine is like, I'm like, oh, I'm a badass, I got this. And then sometimes at midnight, Amy Peterson's messaging me and she's like, hey, your flow desk is doing something crazy and here's a screenshot. And I'm like, whoa, today I'm on 1. But you know what? I got badass problem solving skills, and guess what happens? I figure it out, because that's what we do. We just figure it out. Yeah, a solid nap. That's going to be me today, because I haven't done one of these forward facing webinars. I'm going to be like, oh, leave mama alone after school. I'm going to, yes, everything is figure outable. That word makes me crazy, Marie Folio, but everything is figure outable. And I think that is the power of a female, that we are naturally, we do that. That is a natural skill set. Okay. So you got to treat your rental property. Oh, let me see what you're saying. We hire a property manager and set a limit for repair requests. I like this. So we have someone else that does this, and it's at a 250 mark. So there's a reserve for the 250 mark, right? So if there's a repair under 250, we pull it from the reserve, it takes care of it. If it's $1,000 issue, it's got to go through the owner. So you can absolutely put caps on stuff like that. If you're scared about going to a property manager and you hear these horror stories of, oh, they spent $1,000 and I didn't even know, or a plumber came out, it was a $200 fix and they cost me $700. Sure, I'm not gonna, are there crappy property management companies? Yeah, there are. There's crappy people everywhere. Do your due diligence, do your homework, get reviews, talk to people that they manage for, and you can hire a good property manager that maybe takes care of several properties, but is going to treat yours like it's theirs, because they do exist. There are really good property managers. Okay, monetizing, step 4. Oh man, you guys, we're tight on time. Okay, so treat your rental property investments like a business. It's not a frigging side hustle. And this is the thing that I see a lot with real estate agents, like, oh, I own some properties. Dude, it's a business, and it's like a multi-million-dollar business if you're managing several assets. So you've got to friggin' treat it like a business. You want top rental income, you want top tenants, you want forced equity, forced appreciation, and then you want the ability to be able to equity strip at the end. And I think that if you treat it like a business, all of those things will absolutely come. You can't mom and pop your way through being a rental property investor. If you have nicer appliances, fresh paint, a space where you want your children to live, or even yourself. Now, am I going to live in all of mine? No, but will I live in a lot of them? Yes. And I'm not saying that it's got to be majorly bougie, but it needs to be mindful and not crap. Garbage properties lead to garbage rent that lead to garbage tenants. I want my tenants to respect my space. I'm working hard in real estate to invest back into properties, and I want them to be nice and taken care of. The slumlord exists, but that isn't me. I'm not your girl. If that's what you want, I don't think that's what you want. If you do, I'm not your girl. I want properties in areas where I would live, where I would go out and have dinner, where I would walk on the sidewalk with my children. I want to feel safe if I have to go over there for a repair. I want highly saleable areas. I want properties that are growing in equity. So think about that. If you want to resell in 4 years, are you going to also have equity? A lot of these investors, that's not the case. In my case, I don't want a property unless I'm going to have equity gains as well. So you want those things, and that kind of makes the unicorn. If you get those are going to lead to tenants that are going to rent from me personally, because they can't afford to buy in that area. And they're going to be good, high quality professional tenants, but maybe they're priced out of that area for pricing. All right. Don't we all love some equity and forced appreciation? And I talked about this in the Powerhouse meeting. When you're walking properties with clients or for yourself, you're always looking for like what can be improved. How can you get more money from a property? What could you immediately do to create more rental income? What enhancements? Can you do LVP flooring or lighting or bathrooms or landscaping? Maybe roofs or windows? Or maybe you can get more rent by off-street parking or storage, laundry, another bedroom, adding those nicer appliances, or spending $2,000 on nicer appliances. Think of it like a project where I'm thinking, where can I spend $15,000 and get $50K back in value? That's what I'm looking for. Where can I move the needle on $1,000 rent and push that to $1,500 a month? Those are the types of properties that I want. And then once I have that property, I want the leverage. By creating equity and the base property value and getting greater rental leads, is going to lead to having access to money for more properties. And if your bank sees that you're getting top market rent and have forced equity, then they're going to give you more money. They want responsible landlords. They want to lend you money. Of course they do. They're the bank, and they want people that are going to be responsible with the money and create further wealth and want to buy more properties. So if you can train your eye, and a lot of these people in here are agents, so if you can train your eye to see the potential in a property, then you can line up the work and create great gains for yourself. And that's going to allow you to scale without using your own money after the first deal. So you put your first money in, and then you burr. And I hate all these real estate acronyms, but it's for real. You burr. So you're going to buy, you're going to renovate a property, you're going to rent it for higher market rent, then you're going to refinance it, then you're going to repeat the process, you're going to pull all that money out, and you're going to go buy another one with the cash from the first one. And there are a lot of people making a ton of money on the BRRRR method. That is, I wouldn't say that's necessarily a method I use, because I don't cash out my equity. I want them, yes, buy, renovate, repeat. I typically don't I don't want to take the money out because I want my properties paid for, because I want to retire and have all these properties paid off and paying for themselves. So you got to think about how you're pushing the scale. You're going to want to build a portfolio, and you're going to want to move fast, especially when you can rehab that first property and refinance it and take that equity out and do it over and over and over. And that's what's going to lead. You're going to wake up one day and be like, damn, I have 20 properties. How did that just happen in 5 years? But that's how it happens. It becomes addictive. You get that first one, you get that mailbox money, you've got a finished product, and you're like, all right, next, and just send it to the bank. So not creating your own equitable situation and increasing rents and property value will leave you paying the frigging bills. It's going to leave you footing the bill on all the things. So it's going to lead to you working in your job to pay for repairs. And that's potentially going to lead to tenants that don't respect your space, pay rent on time, or even potentially a higher vacancy rate. So I want you to keep in mind that having nice spaces can really save you a major headache, I promise you. And so it's worth it to put a little extra in a property up front so that you can take advantage of those benefits. Having tenants will drastically change your ideal property ownership situation. Crap tenants will make you want to quit. Dream tenants that pay monthly, notify you of a maintenance issue when a little water drips and it might get on your nerves, but I promise you it's better than an emergency. And then they renew their leases and they stay. And then you're not turning properties over. That is where it's at. I want those tenants that are like, oh, I'm going to be there 5 years. So you've got to do the work. You've got to take the steps to get in the right spot. Who's ready? Is everybody ready? Everybody ready to go buy some real estate? I hope so. I want everybody this year to set this goal to move the needle towards buying real estate. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go buy something this year, but maybe you're just getting your financial situation in order to do that. And you can do a few things that I talk about here. You've got to set your goals. What are your long and short-term goals? What is your financial situation? What does your partner say? Are they on board? Do you have an LLC? Do you have a business plan? Can you assess your market? Have you done your research? Do you know what rents are in your market? Those are all things that you've got to know before you just go buy a piece of real estate, or you better trust somebody else that's going to do it for you. You can't wish for success. You got to plan it. All right. So tell me who's got their financial situation set up and is ready to do it. Is everybody in here like, yeah, my money's ready. I'm ready to go buy something? Like unicorn deal shows up tomorrow and you're like, yep, I'm in. And that's okay, Amy. You can set up that LLC later. But as long as your financial situation's ready, I think that is going to be the first big step. Is nice. Yeah. Do not jump, spend your cash, and then be in a situation where you don't have any money to cover your own personal debt. It'll be a nightmare. Yeah, 1% rule. I lost that up here. Yeah, we can have a whole conversation about the 1% rule, because the 1% rule was really great when you had 8% interest, but we don't have that anymore. You can buy a friggin' rental property with 3 and we're closing on something in 2 weeks that's 3.3. So you have to adjust. I see a lot of 120% or 1.2 or 150, 1.5. So I think it's kind of across the board on the 1% rule. I think is kind of antiquated, but it's in all the books, so people see it and they still want to go. And unicorn deals, they do exist. They're just harder to find, and I think you need to be patient. But also, I think you need to be ready, because when they do come, then you can jump on it, and they're going to come. It's just a matter of time. Give yourself 12 months. Give yourself 18 months. The market is cyclical. We're going to have a shift, and you just need to be prepared when it happens, because if you're not, somebody else is going to be. Yes, HELOC, totally. So yeah, if you can HELOC against your property and buy another one, and that property is bringing enough income in to cover your HELOC, or in that case, or in a situation where you don't need the money. And so you cover your own HELOC as long as it's not affecting you. I think it's great. I think most people are taking HELOCs, including when you see in the real estate world, all these parents who are paying cash for their kids. And you're like, where did that 25-year-old get 300,000 cash? That's it. Their parents are probably taking HELOCs against their property. Okay. So, success like kind of compounds, builds. So my first property, 62,000 Courthouse Steps. That's a picture of the property. My next property, that was my second property. It was my first multifamily threeplex, 25. I bought it for $191,000. They were all 3-bedroom, 1-bath units with laundry in the unit. I sold that in 2020 and did a 1031 exchange and bought a property in Florida. We had deferred some maintenance on that property. We knew that it was coming, so we decided it was time to let it go. We could sell it what we thought was the height of the market. Here we are, we're still going up. And then my first Airbnb was my personal home. The first year we brought in $40,000 just renting it on these random weekends. And we ended up discovering this large company that wanted it for 5 weeks a year for 18 grand. And then we had American Idol rent it. I mean, it's a very classic looking property. It's a beautiful street, but it's amazing what you can make in the Airbnb realm as well. And then on the horizon for me, we are closing on 2 fourplex properties that we are going to force the heck out of equity and appreciation. We're going to have some major gains in rental income and in value on that property, a mountain cabin that we're going to short-term rental, and a second Louisville condo that we are short-term renting. So we're doing short-term rental on. So as you can see, like my first property was in 2021, and then the next one was 2025. You don't have to do it all today. It doesn't all have to look like that. It will compound the longer you're in the business. So I'm here because I want that. I had the opportunity to speak and teach inside Powerhouse, my private real estate group that some of you know, some of you are in. I lived as this secret investor for so long, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to talk to others about real estate investing. It's hard to put yourself out there, and it's been so rewarding, which is amazing. Once I started like sharing all the little tips and tricks and tidbits, I was getting these messages and the text of like validation, and I knew that I was in the right place. It just had to be pushed to get there. So then I just decided I want to help other women. I want to help moms. I want to help people in their 20s that are young professionals that were like me, that want to jump into the world of investing, that want to call themselves an investor, because the success stories is where I live. Like that's where it feels good for me to make me want to do these presentations and do these webinars. And so I did one inside Powerhouse. I got all these phenomenal messages. And so this is just kind of part of it, text messages and DMs that I get from people, and it's fantastic. Okay, so quick little visualization and then we'll run this out. So just close your eyes and imagine that you're sitting on the beach. The soft sands between your toes, the warm sun's on your cheeks. Hope you've got sunscreen, and you've got a beach blanket, and you've got a new book next to you, or maybe you're listening to a podcast and you can hear your kids splashing in the waves. They're giggling in the distance. That salty ocean breeze is on your face. It's the first of the month, and bing, a new notification pops up on your home screen. You swipe, and Susie just paid $1,200 this month for 1267 Front Street. The transaction is processing, it reads. And today, while you were doing your morning yoga and sipping tea and running around in the sand with your little people, you were getting paid. So picture yourself in that moment. How did that make you feel? Knowing that all while you were living your best life, that you were earning income? Do you feel grateful, fulfilled, like you can finally take a deep breath without stressing about money or transactions or your clients? Imagine that moment and what it would be worth to you to feel like that, to have that kind of fulfillment and peace. Because I want you to know that that moment, it's possible. I worked really hard to make this vision a reality, and I started in the exact same place as most of you today, in transactions, young, then becoming a mom. And this is my life now. It's the core of what I do. I have a beautiful level of freedom. I harness my real estate knowledge and I leverage the power, and it's the most powerful thing that you can do. And I want you all to do it. Continuing the grind is not where it's at. Being able to see the smiles on your children's faces, that is where the beauty lies. And so I just want everybody in my life to get to that point and keep pushing forward, whatever it is, whether you're just starting, whether you own 5 investments and you're scaling, or whether you just want to get into the Airbnb arena, or maybe you just want to get your damn real estate license. Whatever it is, I just want you to take that step so that you can move forward to do greater things and create your life by design. You get, like, we are afforded the ability to create this beautiful life, but we have to take the steps and get out of the fear. And I think that's what I see is so many people that just live in the fear. And I want you to get away from that. So, ta-da! I've done everything that you need to do, and I've packaged it, and it is Mailbox Money. And it is a 5-week group coaching that will help you buy investments and make money while you sleep, or just sit on the beach, whatever you want to do. Come hang out with me. Most of you probably know I live in Florida. I've been in Kentucky my whole life, and I moved to Florida, and all of my properties are in Louisville, minus some Florida stuff sprinkled in. Yes, J-Lo, yes. So, whether you are doing it now, whether you're doing it later, I want to help you work through. I get so many phone calls. Molly, can you help me? Molly, can you do this? Molly, can you analyze this property? And so I want to be able to help all of you buy your first investment or your 5th. I mean, I am very diversified today. It wasn't like that in the beginning, but so I understand buying single family homes. I understand house hacking, short-term rentals, big short-term rentals, and small short-term rentals. So there, and then of course, multifamily is my bread and butter. Long-term buy and hold is where I live. That's what I'm here for, because those people are paying off mortgages. My children will inherit multi-millions of real estate assets that have no mortgage. It gives me chills, because I know that they can do great things. My job is to raise amazing humans that can take that asset and do frigging amazing things in this world. I'm not going to cry on you guys, but that's how I feel about it. So 5 modules, 5-week group coaching. Totally, Krista. 5-week group coaching, 5 modules of why, where, how, what to do to acquire, manage, and monetize your first investment property. Calls with me. Thanks, Sandra. Calls with me on a weekly basis. The small Facebook group, because we all know that living inside that Facebook group and the community is where it's at, because we can build upon each other. So I need to take you through step-by-step hand-holding how you're going to get to that next level. And then we're going to implement, and we're going to help you buy your first piece of real estate. And you do not have to be a real estate agent or current investor to get there. My goal is to get you all through this program. The small group is truly where it's at. I think being in these small groups and these small masterminds is how you build community, how you learn from others. And that is probably what I'm most excited about, because I get on the phone with people and I get phenomenal messages of things like, I just want another investment property. I don't think Libby's on here anymore. Or Jennifer Murdoch that caught me at the bus stop. I chatted with her, and then Monday is like, guess what? I just bought a commercial property. So I love that. And I was able to help her. I don't own big commercial properties, but I know enough about it to get her through to that next level. So it was very exciting. It's a huge step for her on a lot of fronts. Let's see. That's it. It's $500. It's beta pricing. I promised everyone in my life that I would not put this much time and energy into anything for $500 ever again. So the next session is $1,500. And then what I'm going to do is, we've got it set up on mollyno.com. It's not launching until March 22nd. We got to get through Rise Retreat. I've got a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to launch March 22nd. It'll be on Tuesdays. We'll have the Facebook group running early. I'll get that probably up and going this week. And then the first 10 people will get a one-on-one coaching with me that will kind of get them kicked off. So, and we'll probably do it at the end as well for those first 10 people, because I want to make sure that all of you are truly ready to buy a piece of real estate, because I know that spending $500 is not cheap. So for me, I was thinking, how can I make this rewarding? Well, for me to spend $500, what am I getting back? Well, if I get a darn investment property out of it that's kicking butt and in 2 months has paid me back my $500, then it was well worth it. So if you've got questions, you know, I know there's non-agents on here, there's objections. If you're not a realtor, yes, absolutely, I can hold your hand. If I already have investment property, absolutely, I'm scaling, happy to help you scale as well. I'm doing the hard work. I'm also launching a syndication. If I'm not financially ready, then let's have a conversation. If you're not financially ready, if you don't have the money for your first property, then let's chat about that so that we can figure out how far off are you? Is it worth it to do the course now for $500 versus $1,500? And then maybe you're ready in 6 months and you can start implementing. What else do we, if you want to invest in a group, absolutely. If you are group investing, like I said, I'm launching a syndicate. There's other people I know that are launching syndicates. People are buying in groups. They have investors behind them. There's all the things. So you guys tell me any questions that anybody has, and please feel free, share it with your clients. This is not for real estate agents only. This is forward facing. I really hope that it's likely going to be very female driven because I want more women in the business. When I was 21, guess what I was dealing with? Like a bunch of old men in suits. That's who I was surrounded by. And now I want to be surrounded by like moms in Lululemon pants and tennis shoes that are picking their kids up at the carpool or like driving their golf cart like I am. So that's it, you guys. Thanks, Lauren. You guys tell me any questions, pop them in the chat. You're welcome to unmute if you guys want to chat with me. Let me pop my screen up here so I can see your faces. Oh, thank you guys. I'm glad. I hope I can get everybody. I hope I can get everybody to just push forward with me, with someone else. Yes, launches March 22nd. You absolutely have time. More information will continue to come out. It's just the first 10 will get like the private. What if you want to do it on your own without your spouse? No, you can absolutely. So if you create the LLC, so you can do that. You can, well, depending on your state, but you can have a single entity LLC that's buying real estate. So it also depends if you're buying in the name of the company or are you personally funding. So in Arizona, I don't know your state laws, but that would be a good question to talk to your title attorney about. In the state of Kentucky, my husband and I actually have an LLC with another couple, and then one of the other, it happens to be our commercial banker because he saw me finding these off-market deals and he's like, I want in on your game. So him and myself are the managing members, and our partners our spouses are silent partners. There's a divorce clause. There's all kinds of information in that. But you would want to talk to your state. But you can do single member LLCs as long as your bank is going to allow you to purchase in the name of the LLC. Oftentimes that's going to be 25% down. Sometimes they want you to personally guarantee it. So can you personally guarantee it without your spouse? Then in Kentucky, it's a dower and curtsy state. There's all kinds of rules that apply. I just don't know specific Arizona laws, but I would talk to, I don't know if you guys are a title state or not, but I would talk to a title or closing attorney to help you out there. But it can be done. Yes. You could also replace the spouse with another buying partner. There's all kinds of like workarounds. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Anybody else? Anything else? Do you guys want to see if I can see your faces here? Hey, Jamie, did you have a question? Your hand is up, but maybe not. All right, I'm excited. Oh, yay. Girlfriend, I wish you were coming to Rise Retreat. I'm excited for you. You're going to buy real estate this year. I know that you are, Elle. And I'll keep you posted on syndicate. And I know there's a couple other people doing syndicates. So if I find out something amazing, then I will absolutely send it your way. I know you are like chomping at the bit. JLo's chomping at. So many people are like, find the deal, Molly, find the deal. So now I'm like, okay, can I get a, thanks, Danielle. I appreciate that. Can I get like a clone? Can I get a clone to find the deals? Because you got to be out, you got to network. How do you find the deals? You network. I actually had a wholesaler reach out to me out of Seattle that was like, hey, this is how we're finding deals. You want to chat? I'm like, can you talk to my husband? The goal for me, so that you guys know, I mean, we all have a goal, right? The goal for me is to get my husband out of corporate. right? Like I want to get my husband out of his corporate real estate business. So our corporate career. So we will do more syndications. We'll find the deals. They don't exist yet. And so when it happens, I'll announce it. And if you're not ready to buy a loan, maybe you buy that way and you get monthly dividends. So, oh, my cheeks are red, you guys. Jamie, do you have a question for me?
No, sorry, no.
You're good, you're good. All right, ladies. I love all of you. I'm so thankful for the support. I know it was my first ever webinar. Thanks for sticking with me as I learn all the technicalities of all of it. I hope that I can just give a little bit. I hope that I can help all of you just move the needle a little bit, whatever it is for your personal goals. That's the first step. Just figure out your goals. And oh, Angie, it's recorded so that you know. Nebraska, there you go, cost of living. And you have to think about that. Midwest is beautiful. And we'll talk about that. And I like university towns. I like the Midwest. I'm from the Midwest. So we'll talk about all of that. And we'll do group coaching stuff with all of that. Because I got all kinds of ideas. Even though I live close to St. Augustine now, Florida's not super affordable, especially when you've got Kentucky money, not New York or California money. The link is on mollyknow.com. And so March 22nd is when it's going to start, Pam. I know you hopped in late, but it's on mollyknow.com, first 10. Please feel free to share it with clients. It is not going to be geared specifically towards real estate agents. So keep that in mind that I mean, you guys all have probably friends and people that are wanting to get into investing that are scared or don't know how, and you're not sure where to push them or what to do. So I'm happy to do that for you. I promised everyone that I would never do this at $500 again, but I just wanted to beta this off the ground because of technology. And so I needed to feel good about this way. So this is a beta course. There could be technical difficulties, but we're going to work through it. Rachel, I have not decided that. I figured I would do a poll within the group. I'm going to be flexible knowing that everybody is across on times. So I'm sure we're going to have West Coast. I'm sure, I'm on Eastern time. So we'll do a poll in the group, and then I'll make sure to record all of the group coaching calls as well. And then there will be modules for everybody to go through when we're not in session. A lot happening for me. So next up, Raz Retreat. If any of you are real estate agents, Raz Retreat sold out this time, but we're going to be teaching at Raz Retreat with Megan Kennedy. And we've got some fun stuff up our sleeve. Just like think Monopoly. Yes, I can't wait for Raz Retreat too. I gotta pack. It's one step. That's where we're at today. All right, y'all. Thank you. This is going to be, I'll drop this in the flow desk. Hopefully I can figure that out, the flow desk. And I'll get it up on YouTube as well if anybody wants to go back through or to share it. I love shares. Shares are what's going to help me build. So, and then I can help you all. All right. Thank you, guys.